microphone, not the bullhorn. But I want to start off first. You know, this relay is a family. You all got to come closer. You're too far away. Get in here. Let's send some love. Before I get started and tell you about my story and why I'm here, I first want to start by thanking the committee. You guys did an incredible job tonight. You deserve another round of applause.
You did a great job.
I want to thank my team and my family for being here. We couldn't have done the last 3 years without you guys, and you raised a boatload of money here, so thank you. And I also want to thank my lovely wife over here, who's been in the trenches with me for 3 years, and if you didn't catch it, she moonlights as your ACS staff partner. So she knows what this thing's all about, because she's had to live it 24/7 for 3 years. So, April 2009, we found out that Dad had cancer. He had rushed himself to the hospital with what he thought was a heart attack, but he got in the car and he drove himself to the hospital. And a on-the-ball ER doctor saw that little space in his lung behind his heart. And he went for his initial consultation, and the doctor, God bless his heart, he's probably done this 1,000 times, answered the question that he asked. What's the first question we all ask? How long do I have? Doctor said 6 to 9 months. Pretty blunt, point blank. Dad was a football coach. He loved life. He was a skier. He was a fisherman. And the three things he taught us when we were kids were: you never quit, you play the game with integrity, and I forgot the other one. That's right. My brother just reminded me, because it's his heart, playing the game with heart. Because this right here is what just gets you through. It's what makes you stick it out. So anyway, those were the 3 things he taught us when we were kids. And when this diagnosis came down, it hit him like a sledgehammer in the chest. It knocked the wind out of him. I've never seen the man be so depressed in my entire life. And I didn't blame him, because my grandfather passed away at 57 when he was 28. And he had to hold his dad's hand as that happened. So he knew exactly what was coming. And he knew what Ryan and I and my mother were going to have to go through. And we didn't understand that at the time. I mean, this cancer thing is a learning process. And we only could figure that out as we went. So we needed to pick him back up. So, of course, Ryan and I, we did what he taught us to do. We were like, Dad, you got to fight this. You can't let this beat you. There's no way we're going to let this thing win. Didn't really have an effect. It's easier to say than to do. But when we found hope was during the second consultation, when we went over to Mass General. We met this angel named Dr. Alice Shaw, and she happened to be studying a genetic mutation which he happened to have. And so she told him, you know, Bobby, I'm studying this drug. We could do chemo. It could, you know, be total war on your body and wreck you for the next couple of years, and you might earn a couple extra months. Or you could get into this trial, this drug that I'm studying, and if it works, we could give you years. I don't know how many, I can't promise you anything, but if you get into the trial, sure, we'll try. He thought about it, he looked her straight in the eyes, and he said, let's go. Because if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out swinging, and somebody's going to learn something from it, and maybe we'll save another life if it's not mine. So that's when he found hope. When he found courage was right here on this track last year. He had a hip done because the cancer got into his hip. And he had already had junk hips. He had loved to ski, but he couldn't do it anymore. And he wanted just one more summer on his boat, you know? So he submitted to this surgery. But because of the heart attack when we started the story, he was on blood thinners. It didn't go well. It took months of ER, hospital, therapy, and it hurt. And he came here, you know, Leslie had joined ACS, I had joined, started American, and I was telling him about it. I was like, Dad, if you come here, you know, this is a special thing. There's a lot of people here who know exactly what you're going through. And so he came with his walker. Some of you guys might remember him. And he got out there for that survivor lap. And the survivor lap started and everybody went around. And I started walking with him because he was in a walker. 45 minutes later, he came around this strip right here, and he crossed that finish line. He was almost in tears because it hurt so damn bad, but he crossed that finish line. And that's when I saw him buckle his chin strap and go to war with this thing. Because the drive came back. I watched it come back here on this track last year. It was amazing. And that's when I started to really believe in this relay and that how special it is, because, you know, it motivated him. Third thing I learned was that this is a roller coaster. I mean, we had our highs when he had good days, and the radiation for his brain, it really kind of roasted him, and it changed his personality, the steroids and all that junk. But there were good days when we'd just sit at the table and be able to talk, and he'd recall everything, and it was awesome. But then there were those low days. I mean, the pit. Ryan and I, we both ended up on the floor with him and had to deadlift all 180 pounds of him up back into the bed, or carry him up the stairs in a wheelchair so we could shower him. You know, I call those times the bathroom follies. Won't get into it, but I'm sure some of you know what that's like. You know, but that's when I started to need to write about it and tell the story and do things like I'm doing tonight, come here and talk to you. This is my first attempt at talking to you guys. I've been hiding behind a keyboard for the last 6 months when I started a blog to kind of document this thing. But I started writing about it because I wanted my friends and family to know what we were going through and how much this thing really was, you know, weighing on the family, and the stress and the aggravation and the rage that sometimes would happen, where you know it's not him yelling at you, it's the drugs, it's the cancer, and we wanted people to know. So we started the Fighting Haddock. Haddock was his nickname. Find me on the track if you want to know what that's all about. We started the Fighting Haddock.tumblr.org, and we started writing about it. We started getting people involved. It helped people know what was going on without getting 5,000 phone calls a night. And it started to keep people vested in what he was doing, and people would know, so they wouldn't have to talk about it. They'd just come over, they'd hang out with him. When he needed 24-hour care, because he was a fall risk, he had his friends over every day, and we saw people coming together and wrapping us in that cocoon of love that we really needed, and it was pretty amazing. Then the drugs stopped working, and that's when, you know, we learned that principle that he'd been teaching us as a kid, is that you always play the game with integrity. He tried the chemo on a low dose, and it didn't work. And it wasn't at that point about quitting or giving up. He wanted to play the rest of his game with integrity. He wanted to go out feeling as best as he could. And that, to me, was a huge learning experience, because I was always telling him, don't quit. Don't ever quit. But he wasn't quitting. He was just, he knew it was coming, and he wanted to be okay with it, and he wanted to go out feeling as good as he could, and I had to respect it, and it was the hardest thing to understand, but I got it. And I wrote about that too. And yeah, it made a whole bunch of people cry to read. My keyboard was soaked writing it, but it had to be done. So I played the game with integrity. And, you know, I came here tonight, and I look at these bags around this track. There are hundreds of tracks around this country in June. There are thousands of bags. There are millions of bags. They are the cost of this war that we're fighting on cancer. They're each and every one of us. This is our family and our friends, these bags. And, you know, I came here the first time because we wanted to punch cancer square in the mouth. And we learned that we could do that. I came here tonight knowing it's not just about how hard you can hit, but it's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. We lost Dad 26 days ago, on May 21st. But we got to keep walking forward. And that's what tonight's about, and that's what this relay's about, and that's what these Illuminaria bags are about. I said that wrong, Illuminaria. you know, is to keep walking forward. This is the price we paid, these bags. So remember it when you're walking, and challenge you to keep your team on the track all night tonight, because they can't give up. You know, they can't just say, all right, I'm done, I'm going to go sit down. Keep your team on the track tonight, even just one person. Stay awake and do this. It's 12 hours. I wish you guys the best of luck. I thank you for letting me talk to you tonight, and good luck tonight.
Thank you very much, Mike.